hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I'm starting to build this review, which we have of a class website. And one thing I forgot to do on here was under the title, let's call this website, instead of website review, let's call this website home. Okay? Now I want to go and save this file. So I'm going to do a save as, and I'm going to save it as about.html. So right now, if I go back to my index and my about look the same. You notice I don't get the error anymore. But we're going to start changing that right now. In fact, this will not take long at all to do this particular page. So I'm on the about page. Let's change this first. Remember that when we did this, it says website home. We want to change that one so it says website about. So let's do that first. And let's test it right away just to make sure that it works. Notice it's now website about. So there's home and there's about. Okay? Because since they're identical, that's the only thing right now that's different between them. All right. So instead of website review here, we'll have about page. Now, I guess that's down here. Instead of welcome, we'll have about. All right, so the first thing is we don't need that picture anymore. We're not using the picture. But good, bad, or indifferent, I put in different paragraphs in here. And they don't need to be formatted, so there's no first page. Just want to get rid of that paragraph. And this one doesn't have to be formatted either. And we're going to get rid of that paragraph. All right, I'm going to paste in the two paragraphs that I've had saved in the text folder. So far we've done page 1, para 1 text, and page 1, para 2 text. So let's do a file open here. And we want page 2, para 1. That's the first one that we'll put in. Let's see. Okay, and then we want to come and put in our second one, and our second one will be under page 2, para 2. A little longer paragraph. Bring that in. All right, believe it or not, so I don't need to close some of this now. That was our reset, which I think I've saved already. So, in fact, let's just cancel out of that. But we'll close this, and we'll close this. Good. All right, so our about page should now be done. So when we run it, it's just text. Doesn't, the home page has at least got an image on it, and there's the about page. Okay? All right, what I'm going to do now is, rather than putting in the next page, which has got our JavaScript in it, I am instead going to come in and start doing some of the formatting. All right? And this is stuff I just made up. Okay? So you would be free to change your own colors, etc., if you wanted to do so. But, I'd like yours, at least to start with, to look like mine. So there is that about.html. There's our style file, which right now has nothing in it. All right, so let's start putting some stuff in here right now. And there'll be quite a bit, to be honest with you. It's a couple pages worth. Some of the stuff we won't end up using until a little bit later, but that's still fine. I'd rather put it in now. So, background, gray. Remember, you can say either background or background dash color gray. Color, and I picked a medium blue, 3399FF. Font family. I put in here, we don't need these, so I had Arial, comma, here we do need it because there's spaces between the words, Times New Roman, and sans serif. Okay, and we'll make the line height 120%. Okay, so that's all we've done so far. Let's go back and look at how that's changed the way this looks. Okay, so right now it looks kind of ugly. Don't worry about it. It'll look better in just a little bit. Okay, I know that's hard to read, but just bear with me. Okay, all right. So that's the first thing that we wanted to do. So again, we came in here, changed our background color, changed our text color, changed our font family, and changed our line height. All right, next, let's make some changes that will apply both to the header, to the header and to the footer. All right, so we'll set the background to that pound 3399FF. We'll put the text color, we'll make that white. Remember, I can either say white, or I can say FFF, or pound FFF, or I can say pound FFF, FFF, but that's fine the way it is. Let's put in some padding. We'll put 30 pixels in on the top and bottom, and 10 pixels on the left and right. And text align center. All right, come back to here. Let's look at how that's changed. Okay, so we can see all that did was work on our header and our footer. Okay, it's already coming. I think it's already looking a little bit better. All right, now that header, I'd like that to be bigger, and the footer, I'd actually like to be smaller as far as the size. So what I'm going to do is, rather than having a combined thing, I'm going to say for the header that I want the font size to be 2 M's. Each M is like 16 pixels, so that's like making it 32 pixels. All right, and for the footer, I want the font size to be 0.5 M, which is like 8 pixels. All right, and again, let's look. Doesn't look any different until I refresh. Now you see that's bigger and that's a lot smaller. Okay, now again, it's getting there. Okay, all right, now this thing in here, remember, is our container. So let's do that next. Let me hit enter a bunch of times here to move this up. Okay, and that container was an ID. So we will set the width. We'll give it a fixed amount. And actually, there's 16 times 16. We're going to say 60 M's. All right, because I had 960 pixels, but that should be the same thing. Margin, 0 auto. I'm hoping that that's going to center it on the page. Background, we'll make that navy. Can we say dark blue? Will it find that? I want to use a dark blue, so let's take a look. I put navy, but that really looks like a funky color. So let's say hex code dark blue. All right. That's more of a blue. That's not dark enough for what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something more like this. Even this would be all right. Let's try that one. Yeah, I like that. So we're going to make that the background color. And we'll have the text color be white. Now you're going to see a big difference when I do this and I refresh. Boom. All right. So we've got that, and there's our about page. Home and about. Looking pretty good. All right. Next, I want to work on this navigation area. As you'd probably guess, I want it to go across instead, horizontally instead of up and down vertically. So, again, we'll make some changes. We'll look at it. We'll make some more changes, and we'll look at it. So let's come in here and nav UL. So for our unordered list, we want that to have a background of white. List style type of none. We want to get rid of the bullets. No margin. And no padding. All right, again, it's easiest to put that in there. Watch how this changes here. Okay, looking a little better. It doesn't look fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it's looking a little better, looking a little more like I want it to look. All right, now let's work with the list items that are in here next. So I'll say nav UL LI. And here I'm going to set the width to, I don't know how this will work, but 59 ems. Display to inline, which should put it all on the same line, and a margin of, I want to say 90 pixels, but what's 90 divided by 16? Again, I'm trying to use ems here because they're really what I should be using. So it's interesting. Okay, so 90 divided by 16 gives me 5.625. 5.625 ems. All right, so that's my unordered list item. So let's look at what that did right here. All right, looking a lot better. Okay, let's see. And the only other thing is I don't want these to be underlined. So I'm going to come in for my nav UL LI A, and I'm going to set that to text decoration none. That should remove all those underlines that are here once I refresh. And it has. Now I can change this if I want to, as far as, and there's the home page. All right, I can change this if I want to as far as colors and hovering. I'm not worried about that now. You could do that on your own if you had a desire to do so. All right, now my paragraphs, I don't like that font. I want to change it. I don't want an Arial font for that. And what I did was I went out, just so you can see this, I went out to Google Fonts. All right, and so fonts.google.com, and I tried to find one that I kind of liked, and I found was somewhere near the first page here. I chose Merriweather, so I went here and clicked on that. Okay, and it said I was supposed to put in this link. Okay, so that link will have to now go into both my About page put that on another line so it's a little easier to see. And that link will have to go onto my home page, which is not currently open. Okay, now that's not enough, just doing that. That's a good start, but it's not enough. The other thing that I have to do is I have to put in my CSS font family Merriweather. And they say if you can't find Merriweather, just use a serif font. Okay, so that will go into the CSS file. And this is for paragraphs. Okay, all right, let's see if that changed things. That's what we started with. That's where we were, so let's refresh. And you may or may not be able to tell, but we have a different looking font now here. All right. A couple more things with that CSS right there for the paragraphs. First thing, I want to change the font size. And I made it 1.25 M, so I'm going to make it a little bigger. I'm going to put a margin all the way around here of 10 pixels. And I'm going to make a line height here of 1.5, so it's bigger than it would normally be. Again, the easiest way to see how this changes is to bring it up, refresh, so you can see it looks different now. All right, there's my About page, and there's my home page. Now it's coming together. It's not perfect, but it's coming together. All right. So the next thing that I did, let me check my time. I'm at 16 minutes. I'm going to put in a little more CSS here. So what I'm going to do next here is I said for this first page that we had, dot, which was a class, first page, and I said let's have a margin all the way around it, oops, of 20 pixels. Okay. All right. We have on the first page, we also have that ID of home picture. That's the picture that is on the home page. And I want that to float to the left. All right. I also put a div in there that was called, that had an ID call, or a class called clearfix. And there, I want to clear both. All right. Let's make sure that indeed I did put that in here. So in my About, in fact, I want the index page. So there was the first page. Oh, thought that looked funny. All right, there's my clearfix, and that's also on first page. All right, did that change anything? Well, as always, the way to tell is to come back here and refresh. And you can see that indeed it did. All right, again, I'm almost done with what I want to type here, but I want to do a little bit of work with the image, just a couple other things. All right, so let's come back in here. This one will go a little longer, this lecture, than the last one did, but we're going to say dot sample image, and that's going to be for an image we're going to use later. We're going to again have it float to the left. This is one I made for the miles per gallon. In fact, let's, instead of sample image, let's change it to MPG image. That'll be the name of the class. We'll have it float left. It'll have a width of 200 pixels. It'll have a height of 200 pixels. Margin 0 on top, 15 pixels on the right, 10 pixels on the bottom, and 0 on the left. All right, there's a few other things that we have to add, but it's not much, and it's going to be on the later pages. Okay? The other thing that I want to do is I want to come up to the other image that we had here. And let's go to that image, this one here. And let's change this. So that's on our index page. We gave it that ID of home picture. We no longer need this width and height here. Why do I say that? Because the reason we don't need it anymore is we can go take that and we can put it inside of home picture. So we're separating the CSS from the HTML, which is always a good idea to do. So home picture, float left, width 200, height 200. Okay, and if we bring that back up and refresh, nothing should change. Guess it did a real little bit. You may or may not be able to tell. All right, not even sure why it did that, but it did. Oh, it's because I thought that is the right size. Okay, again, this isn't at all perfect. I could have done some work to move that over, etc., but I didn't. So there's our home page, there's our about page. And I think I'm going to stop right here.